Alright, finally here. We have quite a bit to cover, not a lot of time, so strap in while I try to give you all the important details in regards to Resident Evil 4. Now, Resident Evil 4 actually has this prelude that comes in the form of one chapter from another game called Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles. So before we get to Resident Evil 4, let's go over DC's Operation Javier because this is the lead up into the main game. Remember, or if you're new, we're going over the series in in-universe chronological order, not publishing order. Playlist in the description if you want to start from the beginning and see how a fresh set of eyes feast upon the at times ridiculous but awesome glory that is Resident Evil. Now, technically, the Javier scenario takes place in 2002 and the collapse of the Umbrella Corporation takes place in 2003. But the entire arc on my channel has a better narrative flow by explaining the OJ story here. But what Operation Javier does for the series without unloading everything upon you all at once is that it bridges a lot of gaps where had you only played the main games, numbered games, you'd probably have some questions due to some missing links. And the big one is like how Leon goes from this rookie cop in Raccoon City from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 4 where now he's fighting a cult looking for the president's daughter. You know what I mean? You'd probably have some questions. So this is something that Darkside Chronicles accomplishes. It shows us that after the events of RE2, while Claire would go on to star in her role in Code Veronica, Leon and Sherry would be rescued by US government agents. Now, hold on there. Well, you might be thinking, oh, that's great. Leon and Sherry are safe and sound with the US government. Unfortunately, it is the United States of America, and they are interested in both Leon and Sherry because both of them have things that the government wants. Leon is locked in an interrogation room and is told by the US that they have the authority to do whatever they want with them. First off, imagine how terrifying that would be if any government entity locked you up against your will and told you that they could do whatever they want with you, and nobody else can save you, and you are powerless. Now, with Sherry, you gotta remember, she was infected by William with the G virus, and thanks to what Claire and her mom, Annette, did for her, Sherry now has the G antibodies within her. Of course, the US is going to want to extract that from her, study it, and probably create vaccines. But what about Leon?
You have the experience we're looking for. So if you want this to end peacefully, you really have only one choice. Work for us.
And just like that, I found myself in the service of the US government.
And that thrusts us into the future 4 years, where we start by learning that since the Raccoon City incident, there haven't been any disturbances or reports of any BOWs. Umbrella's been under public fire, and as one would expect, they've done well to keep everything even more concealed than before. However, one ex-Umbrella researcher decided to contact a drug lord in South America named Javier Hidalgo. The thing is, Javier mysteriously disappeared after getting into contact with the researcher. So Leon and a new character that we're introduced to named Jacked. He is jacked, but Jack Krauser are sent to this small country in South America to find Javier Hidalgo. Jack was handpicked by the US because of his first-class skills, and the government thought that he would pair well with Leon. Without both of them working together on this, it was thought that the operation would be impossible. And one thing to note about Jack's character and his motivations is that as he's talking to Ingrid Hunnigan, the mission's support operator on the radio, he tells her he doesn't pledge loyalty to any one entity. He finishes the job to whomever pays him. He doesn't necessarily take the title mercenary, but he says he gets in, gets paid, and gets out. And I want you to remember this because it becomes relevant in the main RE4 game where Jack does play a vital role, and again, without Operation Javier, if you just jumped into RE4, you effectively just see Jack Krauser show up, and his whole purpose for being in the story there comes off rather empty. But keep it in your mind, Jack doesn't pledge loyalty to anybody, and he only wants to get paid. Okay, so moving a little bit forward, we learn that Leon flew into the rendezvous point, where Jack had to pay a local after haggling him down to $50 from 80 for a ride to go and meet Leon at the rendezvous point. Leon, by the way, is on his first real militarized Black Ops mission. This is one of the main things that Darkside Chronicles does for the Resident Evil series. It establishes the transition from Leon being a city cop to now being a top secret government agent who's about to get bitten by a naked snake.
He had attempted to approach Umbrella. Just what are you up to now, Javier?
So, you think BOWs actually exist? Oh, wait. You said you faced him before, huh?
This is my first mission with Krauser. He's a soldier with the U.S. Special Operations Command and has quite the resume of accomplishments in the field. But to him, after all he's been through, BOWs, cryptid, they're all the same.
Our guide is in a village up ahead. He'll take us to Empire, where Javier is hiding out. Come on, let's move.
One thing that I would like to emphasize here, and it might be obvious, but in case you have me up in the background while you're doing something else, Army Major Jack Krauser is a well-seasoned operative. His experience at this point in time eclipses Leon's, not particularly with BOWs, viruses, or parasites, but rather with doing these Spec Ops missions. And the reason I point this out is because of the relationship that would develop between these two in the time that you see them interact with each other, both here and in RE4. There is a level of respect that these two would come to find with one another. However, arriving upon said village, they don't find the guide that is there to meet them. In fact, they don't find anybody. Not a single soul in sight, not a single voice can be heard. I love these PS3 graphics, by the way. So as they're looking around, they notice missing people posters on the wall, and they hear a radio talking about the missing girls. For seemingly something at least over a year now, girls have gone missing, and now they're up to over 50 missing girls. Well, why are a bunch of girls going missing in this small village? The two remain quiet while looking around, and this is when Jack says that it smells like a battlefield. Leon asks what he means, and this is what I mean about the vast gap in their experience wells, because Jack says to Leon, it smells like death. Soon, a man would come stumbling towards Jack, and because he still doesn't believe Leon about everything he's experienced with BOWs, he unsuspectedly approaches that man asking what happened here. And when Leon warns Jack that something is up with this man, that is when he attacks. But he gets put down, and Jack asks, quote, "So, this is what Umbrella's virus can do." However, Leon postulates that this one seems different, and he's right, but we'll get to that soon. Immediately, the previously empty village becomes filled with infected, all focusing down on Jack and Leon. Remembering that their mission is to find Javier Hidalgo, they start killing their way through everything, trying to get to the bottom of what happened here, and also trying to find their lead. At one point, Jack remains unimpressed, saying that if this is all BOWs can do, then they've got nothing to worry about. However, he would soon come to understand that the BOWs weren't just humanoid, they could even be spiders. They'd also learned that Javier's men with snake tattoos, part of the group known as the Sacred Snakes, were also infected, and this causes Jack to wonder what is Javier doing with the virus. Eventually, they would find their contact in the village, but he was dying, and with his final words, he mentions a girl who brought devils to the village and how she escaped from Javier's mansion. Before they could get any more information, the man croaked. This would mean that the only chance at finding Javier was to find the girl. But right as they turned around to leave, they heard water splashing behind them. They only saw a tail slither back into the water, and the man's body was gone. Moving onward, they arrive at the church, but that thing that they only caught a glimpse of comes surging out of the water, flying towards Leon before simply disappearing back underwater. But then, Leon would hear something from inside the church.
Protect you from the dark. Our great river will wash about you as you dream until
Leon.
dawn. Sleep, my love, close your eyes.
So, they needed to combat the large monster, and after some time, they defeat it by dropping a piece of the church onto its neck, forcing it to retreat. Rushing back in to check on the girl, Jack, who is now a believer, asks Leon what is going on and if he's fought these things before. Staring at the unconscious girl on the floor, Leon doesn't respond. But Jack persists, asking Leon to fill him in on everything, which is the premise for the other Darkside Chronicle chapters, which I plan to do a separate video on later, but because of time constraints, I'm not going to do that right now. Just know that for this story, Leon does tell Jack everything. He tells him about Raccoon City, Rockford Island, Wesker. So with him caught up, harkening back to the distinction that Leon made about the BOWs, he only denotes that what he encountered just now were controlled BOWs, unlike the mindless ones back in Raccoon City. And while he doesn't exactly know why this is the case, he hopes that by finding Javier, he will find answers. And so this brings them towards his mansion.
You don't have to worry. You're fine. We're not going to hurt you.
We're the ones who saved you.
You all right?
So, you're the girl, huh? The one from Javier's mansion?
The people in the village. What happened to them?
They're all dead.
We're here on a mission, looking for an American who had contacted Javier about a virus. We need to find Javier, and we were hoping you could take us to Amparo. So that's Javier's.
Yes. I escaped through there.
So that is an important detail. And I think we all know who said American is, but let's progress in the story first. Coming to the dam, Manuela tells them that this is where she escaped through. Proceeding through the water channel, Leon and Jack tell Manuela to be careful, follow their instructions, and stay close so that she can get out safely. Soon, zombie piranhas would set themselves upon Leon, but he slices through all of them. However, he didn't see the zombie to his right that came out of nowhere. Freaking out at this jump scare, he stops to look at his inventory. After that, he kills the Zed, but there's no rest for them because this new type of BOW would jump off a wall and stop them. It looked like a large bird, with just its flesh and bones exposed. Killing it, Jack makes a joke that it took its weight loss plan too seriously. Escaping another group of zombies that was coming after them, Leon stops and asks Manuela how it is that she even made it through here with all of the monsters around. And so her response to this is, it was empty when she came through. And then she asks him why they want Javier so much, despite Leon just having told her that they need to find him to find the American who contacted him. And yet, he adds on that they have to stop Javier from all the bad that he's been letting out upon the world. To which she pensively agrees, but then, immediately, and oddly enough, quietly, Leon turns to see that Jack has been struggling silently with a zombie that had snuck up on them. Dealing with them, the trio make their way deeper into the dam. However, unsuspectedly, a zombie would snatch Manuela and whisk her away. Jack and Leon, who were held back, had to kill some BOWs before chasing after her, but when they enter the room she was in, they hear her singing. Calling after her, she comes out slowly, holding her arm, and they were so taken aback by her behavior, by her singing, that they don't even think to ask how she got away from the zombies. They instead ask, "Why are you singing right now?" It's bizarre, and she could be drawing attention to herself. And her only response is that when she was a young girl, her mom used to sing that song to her. While they were talking, Javier's voice comes snaking through the speakers, calling Manuela's name, telling her to come home. Manuela, alerted, says, "Father," and then runs off, astounding Jack and Leon, because they didn't know that Javier had a daughter, or that Manuela was his daughter. Jack says it's probably from a mistress. When they catch up to her, she stands before Javier Hidalgo.
Javier! Manuela, all of this I've done for you. You need only to follow my directions for 15 years. This will prevent the transformation. But please, my dear, you must be patient.
What the?
The man who gave us the Veronica virus told me it would work.
The Veronica virus?
These Americans cannot save you, my dear. Only I, your father, can help you now. Manuela! Manuela!
Veronica. The dreadful horror Claire had encountered. Why did Javier give it to his own daughter?
Okay, for those who missed it or don't know, the standard T virus engineered by Umbrella infects a human and destroys their brain, making them effectively useless as full-on weapons that can be utilized in a controlled manner. Umbrella worked tirelessly to try and rectify this. Of course, now we know that by combining the Nemesis parasite with T with compatible hosts, it preserves just enough brain function to control the BOW, but the same thing can be said for Alexia's T Veronica virus. In most, it creates monsters, but they can be controlled by the Queen, if you will, and the Queen is going to be the compatible one. However, some key notable differences worth mentioning are that both have different directives. Umbrella made Nemesis for tactical combat, but Veronica was created with ruling masses in mind. And a big thing that Veronica does differently, and this is relevant, is that it avoids necrosis, unlike the standard T. But the Veronica still creates crazy and uncontrollable mutations, much like the G. Well, I guess, honestly, at some point, all derivatives of the base virus mutate uncontrollably. Javier explains that he bought the T Veronica from an American in order to save Manuela because the virus has the capabilities of, even temporarily, I don't know if curing is the right word, I'm not sure about the specifics, but something in it can cure other diseases. And I think it was in Outbreak Files, we saw that patients, or in the hospital incident, in the Arklay hospital incident, we saw that patients who were given the virus were cured of cancer before, turning into zombies. And this also explains why a lot of the infected we see are insectoid and anthropic in nature, because Alexia made the T Veronica by combining the progenitor virus with an ancient queen ant virus. So now that we've established that Manuela is the carrier of the T Veronica virus, one thing we wonder is how is she still human and in control of herself even after 2 years of infection? Leon even mentions that Steve transformed almost immediately after being injected with Veronica, so how is Manuela sustaining herself the way she is now? But on that note about Steve, when we're talking about the American that sold the T Veronica to Javier, if you don't know it by now, I'm going to tell you, it's Wesker. Remember back in Code Veronica, at the very end of Code Veronica, right before he's about to clap Chris's cheeks, he says that he's taken Steve's body. Remember, he went to Rockford Island because he needed Alexia's body to get the T Veronica virus out of her, but when he couldn't get it from Alexia, he instead takes Steve's body and gets the T Veronica virus out of him, and this is how he's been able to sell it and propagate the T Veronica in other parts of the world now. So, after regaining consciousness, the two make their way back up. Come to find, Manuela, who had jumped in the water after them, is completely fine, and she's right here. When they ask how she got here with all the monsters around, this time she doesn't even acknowledge the question, she simply bypasses it and says she's glad that they're okay. Again, Leon tries to ask her another question. What did her father do to her? But the door next to them begins to groan as water has been filling up and the pressure is about to burst through the door. However, Manuela crawls under some pipes and turns some handles in order to stop the water. Getting to the top of the dam, a giant creature comes crashing down in front of them, and then another, and another. They look like Steves from Code Veronica. After killing the Steve copies, Leon stops everybody and insists that Manuela tells him everything.
Why did Javier infect you with the Veronica virus? And what did he mean by too late?
You know, I shouldn't even be standing here, given the circumstances.
The virus.
I was injected with it as part of my treatment.
Treatment?
It wasn't my fault. My doctor diagnosed me with the same disease my mother had. He told me there was no chance of recovery. And all we could find out was that only people living in this area contracted it. It killed my mother. But somehow,
Manuela contracted the same lethal disease as her mom at 15 years old. Javier gave her the Veronica virus and it saved her, strengthening her cells, and yet somehow Javier found a way to prevent her from turning into a monster. How? But now it is sunset, and Manuela seems to be in pain. Seeing this happen, Jack pragmatically states that they need to take care of her before she changes all the way. But Leon insists that they don't because they still need to find out more.
Antivirus weapon protocol number 7600. You're on a special assignment for the President.
My mission is to eradicate this virus once and for all. And with your help, I intend to do just that.
Well, I am a soldier. And if your orders are from the President, then I'm on your side.
Let's go.
Time to kick some ass.
I liked this scene. This was cool. The mutual respect they have for one another, the brotherhood. Although I am curious about Jack because he says he's not loyal to any singular entity, but then he also says he's a soldier and takes orders from the President. Well, maybe he's just saying it for the vibes. Ave Imperator type shit. Finally, at Javier's mansion, they note how fortified the place is, and Jack makes another joke that he probably doesn't like door-to-door salesmen. Who knew that he was such a joker? Fighting off the sacred snakes, Jack wonders what Javier did to his own men, which is crazy and doesn't actually make too much sense in my opinion. Why zombify your own people when you can just pay them? That way, they can still use weapons and do other tasks that require higher functioning. Anyways, Manuela takes them through the mansion, through the greenhouse, down an elevator and into this warehouse area. And it is there that they find a spot in the back separated with curtains.
What's in there? I got a bad feeling about this.
These are all human organs.
Missing girls. Manuela!
Her organs must be transplanted regularly.
What are you talking about?
He helps with the pain, keeping the virus at bay. But that's only for the first 15 years.
If you had just let me die, none of this would have ever happened.
No. I couldn't just watch you die. In nature, the predators who prey on others only grow stronger and thrive.
You crazy, selfish old fool!
Considering you brought my daughter back, I will grant your death's meaning.
So this explains where the missing girls went and why they were in a specific age range. He harvested their organs to save his own daughter, but I also wonder where he was getting all these girls from. Because that was a small village, not too many people unless in the crates are more bodies imported from other areas. Finding the beast again, it's relentless, and at one point it towers over Leon and Jack. However, Manuela starts singing, and the monster stops to turn to her. She doesn't know why, but when she sings, the monster doesn't attack. But then, she falls to the ground, clutching her arm. Leon and Jack get in front of the monster and resume the battle, and eventually, it is felled. But Javier is nowhere to be seen, so they leave to go chase after him.
You okay? It's nothing.
Mother? I don't want to live if it means others have to die.
Alright, so back in 1991, when Hilda, Javier's wife, contracted the terminal disease, Javier actually tried to use the T virus to cure his wife, but unfortunately, despite working initially, it eventually mutated her into the monster that we just saw. This explains why Manuela sings and she stops to listen, because for whatever reason, undisclosed, her mom is still in there. But this was a desperate attempt of a husband trying to save his wife from death that turned her into this beast. The beast that shot and likely infected Jack just now, much like Jill when she got shot in the arm. Jack and Jill. There is a theory that Leon would kind of mention at the very end when they're on the helicopter, and you'll hear it later, so I'll just leave you with that. But picking up with Javier, he is in the greenhouse, and he walks up to this Veronica plant and he opens his arms to welcome it. Back with Jack, Leon, and Manuela, when they make it outside, they're attacked by a Titan. Like, just imagine seeing this in real life. I don't know how Leon becomes desensitized to seeing monsters on the daily, but yeah, this bony beast is Javier, who has become one with the Veronica-infected plant. This is his final stand against Leon and Jack, and you know what? It's working. The two are getting nowhere with the monster, but then that is when something awakens inside of Manuela.
I understand now. I feel this pain because I'm still human. But if I were no longer to feel pain, then that would mean that No. I choose to die a human.
Okay, honestly, what the fuck? She just created a fire barrier that incinerated the monster's bone all the way. I mean, Alexia had fire blood too as a byproduct of the Veronica virus, but it's kind of just like, you know what I mean? On top of that, Manuela has only had the Veronica sitting inside of her for 2 years, where Alexia had to sleep inside of a chamber for 15 years, and the symbiosis took 15 years for her to, establish, but with Manuela it only took 2 years. Again, this is something that Leon is going to kind of allude to later in the helicopter, but you'll see it. You'll know what I mean. Now, with Manuela's blood and fire, they're able to take down Javier, and he combusts into this great ball of fire, Jerry Lee Lewis, as the three of them fly away on a helicopter, leaving Javier's mansion with his giant body burning away. Jack looks down at his left arm and then looks over to see Manuela, telling Leon that she has lost too much blood, but that she thinks it's better this way. She starts glowing, like at the end of Hercules from the Disney animated movie, which was my favorite movie as a kid to watch on VHS, along with Tarzan, by the way. But Manuela herself burns away.
Thank you, Leon.
Why did Manuela never lose her conscience? Was it something genetic? Or was she sustained by this land that's so rich with life? The virus continues to grow, altering its form, strengthening perpetually, until the day it can be destroyed. In our bodies, in our souls.
So Leon says that there is probably something in this land that makes it so that the virus interacts with the inhabitants of this place differently. This loosely and theoretically explains, or at least gives us some semblance of an idea as to why Manuela was able to maintain her human form while only having the virus for 2 years and, being able to use firebending. This also explains why her mom transformed into that monster after being infected with the T-virus, but she maintained some level of consciousness, at least up to the point where she would stop and, be with her daughter as she's singing. The other thing, Jack actually kind of looks sad to see Manuela die. I thought that was interesting. But plot twist, that was actually the bad ending. If your boss fight takes longer than 10 minutes, Manuela disintegrates. But in the true canon ending, she lives and she's taken into US custody, of course, to be studied. Leon would say that there were no new developments or changes for Manuela, but then he talks about Jack. Jack's arm never heals, and as a consequence, he is forced to leave the army. Leon admits that after he leaves, he doesn't know where Jack goes, but this is when we get to see into Jack's mind, because in his ending, as Javier is dying and is combusting, he says, "This moment marks my rebirth. The darkness within me has awoken." Now, did Jack always have a dark side, or was this the infection talking?
Who is this man with whisker that Leon was talking about? And if I found him, could he help me regain my strength? You are cruel, Leon. Couldn't you make her feel proud? She has a whole new life ahead of her. There's nothing left to say. For you and I, Leon, we're merely different sides of the same coin.
So there you see it. Jack turned to the dark side. His injury forces him to leave the military as the government doesn't see any use for him. And so, feeling powerless, he seeks out Wesker. But Jack also starts to hate Leon. But now, we move into Resident Evil 4. And I'm curious about going back to play the original to see if there's any major differences between the OG and the remake, but that's going to be later on. So, what we do is we start out by seeing this cult sacrificing a woman. Her blood drips down the side of a stone, and we see the symbol of hands in a circle. Cutting away from that dark scene, Leon recounts the events of Raccoon City and how, following the destruction and fallout, he was asked to work for the government. He talks about the brutal and rigorous training that he was forced to endure, and in one of the scenes, I believe, but I'm not sure, we see Jack mentoring Leon, teaching him how to fight with knives, which immediately kind of confuses the plot already, because we just saw in Operation Javier that Jack and Leon meets for the first time on that mission, and Jack gets impaled, so he leaves the army and goes off to go find Wesker, but apparently he's here in the remake, so I'm kind of confused about the canon, but we'll continue. Leon confesses that he's been dealing with so much trauma and pain with everything that has happened so far, with everybody that he's lost, and he just wants to forget it all, even for a second. The reality is, Leon doesn't want to lose more people again. That rookie cop who wanted to save people, to save everyone, is still in there, and this time, on this mission, he wants things to be different. And so we come to the rural region of Spain where Leon is in the back of a cop car, staring at a girl's photo, being escorted by 2 officers who were ordered to aid Leon. They ask him a question, calling him Yankee, which is an often negatively connotated word for American, or more accurately, people from the United States, what he is doing here. Why is he out in the mountainous middle of nowhere? And Leon simply states that he's looking for someone. The officer says they must really be important because their police chief personally told them to help Leon. Then he says that a lot of people have gone missing in this area for some time now. After a short time of driving, they take a pit stop so that one of the cops can drain the main drain.
Qué frío.
¿Te has bebido el bar entero? You smoke?
Spaniard Spanish will always sound weird to me. Leon stays silent, observing his dark and ominous surroundings, paying particular attention to a post with an X on it. Picking up with the officer answering nature's call,
Vaya sitio más tétrico.
he hears rustling close by.
Hey! ¿Hay alguien ahí?
So he goes over to investigate the noise, walking by a fallen statue on the floor with lit candles. Now, if it were me, I would probably be asking why are there lit candles here and now, and I definitely wouldn't be going to investigate a noise in the woods, but hey, I'm not a cop. Back in the car, the other cop wonders what's keeping his partner, and he tells Leon to go find out what's going on.
Maybe you better go and take a look.
Leon doesn't miss a beat. He hops up out the whip and gets to work, bored of just waiting.
Oh, watch the car. Wouldn't want to get a parking ticket.
So much for helping me.
As he leaves, the cop says he'll watch the car to make sure he doesn't get a parking ticket, which is an excuse to be lazy. Work. Find ways to get paid to do nothing, especially government jobs, but hey, take wins where you can. I always say if the system's gonna mess with you, mess with it back. Not advice, by the way. Into the unknown, Leon walks past discarded belongings, dilapidated small buildings, candles, wired fences, and bloody carcasses. It wouldn't be long before he comes to a cabin, I think. Entering, he asks if anybody's there, but nobody responds.
Anyone home?
Looking around, he finds a small figure on the bed, which very much resembles the 2 signs he passed by outside. A stick with an X. Reading it, it says, Se acerca el juicio, which means judgment is coming. When he gets further into the back, he sees writing on the wall that says, Hasta el fin viviremos contigo no temeremos, which means that until the end, we will live with you without fear. Leon and his bomber jacket immediately think that there is some weird occult group activity here, but he continues to go looking for the cop. Entering the door on his right, he is startled by a man who is just standing there. He looks at Leon, and while we expect him to attack, he instead walks away, muttering something under his breath.
Sorry to barge in like this. Busco a un policía. ¿Vino aquí? this is not good.
Damn, Leon's kicks are lethal. Register those. Forget the right to bear arms, talk about the right to bear feet. Or wait, well, I'm not into feet. I don't judge if you are, though. Heading down the Hunter's Lodge, passing by a bunch of creepy stuff, we hear sounds of a radio. Closing in on it, through the curtains, Leon finds the cop, but he's been brutally murdered.
Hey!
At the same time, he hears the other cop who is waiting in the car, screaming for help before going radio silent.
I read you. What's your situation? What the hell's going on?
Leon knows something wicked comes this way, so he gets his finger on the trigger, and as he's leaving, the man whose head was sent flying into the stone wall comes creeping down, his head turned and hanging from his broken neck. Of course, he kills him and heads upstairs to find that there are now a bunch of hunters looking for him. However, Leon doesn't hesitate to unload himself into all of them before going to the second floor. It is there that he would find a picture of the president's daughter, who appears to have been tied up and locked away somewhere. Contacting Ingrid, Leon gives a sitrep.
Bruce, this is Condor 1.
Hunnigan here. What's your sit rep?
The president's daughter, Baby Eagle. It's likely she's in this village.
Saying that Ashley is close, but that he needs information on the surrounding area to get a better idea of where to narrow down his search. However, that is when he hears somebody stomping up the stairs.
My escorts are...
He turns and sees an axe coming through the wooden door. The door breaks down and 3 men are blocking his path, so he decides to make his own exit by jumping out the window and rolling on the floor. But for some reason, they only stare at him, letting Leon turn around and leave. Taking the path ahead leads him to a village where he would see all the villagers gathered around the center to burn his escort cop at the stake. While the man screams in immolating agony, the villagers raise their arms up as if he was a sacrifice. Leon decides that none of them can be allowed to live, and so he slowly walks forward, planning out how he's going to do this. But he stops because a chicken is crossing the road, and he gets distracted. Realizing now that the only plan of attack is to attack, he pulls out his piece and sends one into the back of a villager's head, but it doesn't kill him. However, it does get everyone's attention. "Here we go," he says. He shoots 2 more in the head, parries a rake off screen, and proceeds to go to town on the village. He parries the grandma again and gives her a lightning-fast spinning back kick which knocks down 3 of them. He focuses on a man to the left, shooting him, then 2 more to his right. But then, Leon gets shoved, and a grandma tries to take him from behind. However, he quickly turns and throws her on the ground. He lays another bullet into another chest, whips out his combat knife and cuts up another villager, but there are so many of them, seemingly endless, and he's quickly surrounded, so he throws a flashbang and begins to topple them. And that is when he hears something big, smashing through a door, ripping a chainsaw out, and coming straight for him. But Leon does not yield. He relentlessly continues to kick and slash through all of them until a burning raging bull runs by, and then a deep ringing sounds off. All of the villagers immediately stop and look up. This was so abrupt, so sudden, so strange that he had forgotten that there was a chainsaw man around here. They all seemed to be entranced, dropping their weapons and walking towards the sound. Leon was saved by the bell, and he watches as they leave, saying, "Tenemos que servir," which is, "we need to serve." He stands there, remaining confused as I believe anybody in this situation might be. One moment you have an entire village trying to murder you, and the next, they all just leave to go to church, locking the door behind them. On it is a weird, almost alien insect-like figure. Leon would ask where everybody went,
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
joking that they left to go play bingo, and the cop's charred body continues to burn behind him. Leon receives a call from Ingrid, who gives him directions on where to go next.
Routes to Condor 1. I've identified a route to the lake.
His search brings him to a little house by a lake where he kills a madman, rips the floorboards off, and then flips the hatch, along with the man who died on top of it. It is here that he would find a body bag that was moving.
That hurts, you know?
Seemed like you really wanted to talk.
How observant, senor. Now, say, you got a smoke?
You know, those things will kill you.
Oh, well, maybe just untie me then, huh?
Joder, not this guy.
Who are you? Okay, stop right there.
Sacrificial lamb, you will receive our most sacred body. It begins now.
Oh, what the fuck?
Hey, stop it. Hey, Yankee. Got a name?
Leon.
Quiet type, eh? I'm Luis Serra. Guess you, me, picked the wrong spot to vacation, eh? Hey! Stop it! You move, I move. And I'm beat up enough as it is. I can see you're thinking. Bet you've been in spots like this before, huh? I guess you're here looking for someone. One more guess. Maybe some missing señorita?
Young girl. Talk. Now.
All right. See, heard chatter about moving a señorita.
Moving her. Where?
Who knows? But later, saw some men dragging someone to the old church. Hanging with you, not healthy.
Hey, we're not done here!
Later, amigo.
So first off, who was that tyrant-like priest? Man was huge. Now that Leon knows where the president's daughter is, he starts heading towards the church. But not before stepping into a bear trap and then trying to see if he could disarm the next one, but unfortunately, he just gets caught in that one too. Coming upon locked metal doors, a mysterious man from the outside unlocks it for him and says,
"Over here, stranger."
Apparently this is a merchant, but there's something strange about him, although I can't pinpoint necessarily what. He's got a purple torch by his shop and he sells weapons and upgrades, but there is something otherworldly about him. Like it's not just about money and buying things for him. And where does he get all this stuff anyway? And why does he keep calling us stranger? Nevertheless, if it helps Leon on his quest, he takes the help. I should look into him later on though. Going up a hill, a chainsaw man descends upon him, and when he goes in to try and shred Leon down, apparently Leon is able to parry the chainsaw?
Fuck!
How does this work? The teeth on the chainsaw are moving really fast, but Leon's knife can... And then the strength and precision required to even do the parry that... You know what? Never mind. Unless whatever Leon is infected with gives him superpowers, like Wesker. But anyway... Arriving at another house, only to in fact find out that it is not empty, because there's a villager taking a dump. Terrible way to die, by the way. You're just doing your business on the toilet, and then an intruder comes in to jam steel in your throat. Looking around, we learn that a family who was well off for this village used to live here, and for some reason, just like everyone else, they seem to be in some sort of religious craze. Leon would even read a book upstairs talking about Iluminados, which is illuminated, and how everyone offered their most prized possessions to this one master. Getting inside of the primary bedroom, Leon finds a key that has the same insignia from the church door back in the village.
Blood has accepted the gift.
Outside, Leon thinks he sees an infected dog that would attack him, but when he realizes it's just a poor doggo who's caught in a trap, he immediately puts his gun away, runs over, gets himself caught in a trap, and then gets free to save the dog. Oh, it's a wolf. Hopefully it survives and recovers. But hey, imagine playing this game and not helping the poor animal though? Only a psycho wouldn't. Unlocking the door to the church, Leon comes to an altar. It is likely that this figure is the village's cult leader as they seem to revere him. Reading another book of Illuminados that seemingly makes no sense, he heads out to see the merchant here too. How did he get here and set up so fast?
Oh, you cut through the crowd with that right there.
Arriving at the church, oh, I guess the door we unlocked was just another room, not the actual church, but now we're at the church. It's locked, of course, but we find a clue as to where the key might be. Arriving at El Lago, which might be obvious because you can see the lake here, but in case you're just listening and not looking, it's a lake. He peers off into the distance to see two men dumping a headless cop's body into the water, and that is when something comes up to swallow him. However, even further off in the distance, a magnificent castle could be seen. Pressing on, Leon finds some gas, which he's going to need to fuel the boat that he's going to use to traverse the lake. However, before fueling up, Leon sees something swimming in the water, so he starts shooting. But that is when something comes out of the water to consume him entirely, which kind of pisses Leon off. But Leon Super Kennedy comes back stronger and smarter than before. He fuels up and rides off. And begins the fight against the infected salamander. For those of you who don't know, Los Illuminados infected a salamander and it turned it into this monstrosity dragging Leon right now. However, after enough harpoons, Leon kills it, leaving blood in the water. He drops to the deck, exhausted, and begins to throw up blood. He's left unconscious, surrounded by red waters. While in pitch black, he sees that cult leader again walking towards him, saying that by tomorrow, Leon will serve in his covenant. And then, whatever is inside of him begins to painfully move around under his skin. Leon can only scream out in torment until he reawakens, still on the boat. He frantically checks his skin, but realizes it was just a nightmare. Heading over to the boathouse, he calls Ingrid, who's been worried about him because Leon's been silent for 3 hours. But he tells her it won't happen again, and he proceeds to look for the key that he needs to get inside of the church. Now, as you guys know, I hate puzzles, but honestly, they weren't too bad in this game, just some very slight legwork, which I appreciated. I still hate them because they ruin the flow of the story for me, but I just wanted to say that. Finding another shrine, 2 stone hands up, and looking at the mark on the wall which we saw at the beginning of the game with the woman getting sacrificed after obtaining the church to the key, Leon explores the area a little bit more to find that woman, or at least the altar that woman was sacrificed on. For whatever reason, these fanatics sacrificed women, well, probably people in general, but I only see women on these altars, so women. Unless the burning corpse also counts. But who or what is the god or deity that they are worshipping? As Leon heads back to the church, he would find himself in another crisis.
Shit.
Gloria a las plagas.
Jesus Christ! God damn, you're a big boy.
This is El Gigante, which means fighting chicken in Spanish. Sending a boom boom in its face, it falls over, and Leon enters the church calling out to Ashley.
Ashley Graham! I'm here to help.
Opening the door,
Ashley. Ashley Graham, are you in here?
Just let me go.
Listen. Easy with that. My name's Leon. I'm here in the president's orders and... that went well. Hey, it's dangerous outside. You need to listen to me.
What is that? Over there?
Pursue them. The lost lambs are escaping.
Perseguirles.
Deliver unto them salvation.
What do we do?
Your father trusts me. And I need you to trust me too. And do exactly as I say. I'm gonna get you home safe.
Okay. Okay, Leon.
So, somehow, that cult's leader is able to control these villagers, or ganados, which means livestock in Spanish. It's crazy how the cult calls them livestock, but it reminds me of the Veronica virus. Trying to find a way out of the church, Ashley climbs on Leon's shoulders. See, Steve, you don't have to get on all fours to help a lady up. That's a Code Veronica video reference if that doesn't make sense to you. Climbing up the ladder that Ashley dropped, seeing that the only way is down,
No way.
It's okay, I've got you. Hey, trust me.
trust fall successful. Ingrid tells him that a chopper is coming to get them, so they need to get to the extraction point. Trying his best to protect Ashley along the way, Leon shoots down all the undead-like people. Some would try picking her up and taking her away. Others' heads would explode into this meaty whip-like thing. But he blasts those away too. After some time, Leon would come face to face with a large man wearing a boar mask. Leon gives him a knife slash, immediately following up with an electrifying kick. But then, the boar mask gets up to show Leon what a real kick looks like, sending him flipping over on the ground. Leon didn't like that. Seeing that he's got a new nemesis, he takes out his launcher and blows him up, as well as nearby Bacon. Ashley is okay, by the way. Proceeding through this stormy weather, which seems to be increasingly getting worse with every moment, they cross a bridge where Luis would shout at them to come into the house he's in.
Hey, over here! Come on.
You.
Hey, listen, about earlier.
Yeah, about that.
Hey, I see you found your missing señorita.
Señorita has a name and it's Ashley. You are?
Name's Luis. Encantado.
Great. We all have names. Now then. Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Very good questions, unfortunately.
Hide, now.
In that case, here, help me.
Ashley, quick! Over here.
Go. Okay, it's game time.
It turned into a slaughterhouse, and for about 5 or 6 minutes, They kept on coming until Ashley, who was supposed to be hiding, for some reason comes bursting inside from the outside, telling Leon to hurry over. Seeing as the villagers would only keep coming, they rush off, but they were still being followed. So Leon turns around and shoots a chain, dropping the wooden gate on one of their heads, ending their pursuit. The three of them catch their breath. However, Ashley begins to cough up blood and Luis begins to explain that she has something called plaga, which, as you probably can derive, means plague. Luis furthers that the people they've been fighting have the same thing inside of them as Leon and Ashley do. The parasite inside of them will turn them into monsters, however they still have hope because it is still early. Luis says it is possible to remove the plaga. The thing is, he's done it on himself, so he knows it works. I wouldn't lie to you if I didn't agree with Leon in being skeptical about trusting Luis. His motivations seem ambiguous and his demeanor doesn't exactly help, but they have no choice except to trust him for now. And yet, Leon directly would ask, why is he helping them? And Luis responds in a light, almost joking-like manner, that it just makes him feel better. Now, for me, there is always some truth in jest. People make jokes a lot, but oftentimes, there is definitive truth in them. So I feel like Luis, at the very least, is being a little honest. So I am leaning towards being okay with him for now. Leaving Ashley and Leon, Luis would go to meet up with somebody else in the meantime.
Hey, got a smoke?
I do. The kind you like. Now where's the amber?
Unfortunately, it's not on me at the moment. And you really should be telling me what a good job I did. Busted my ass and managed to hide it right before I got caught. Which is why I'm still alive.
The deal was, we get you out of here when you deliver the amber. No amber, no protection, Luis.
Such a stickler for details, huh, Ada? Okay, then. I'll go get it now, how about that? And I do have something else I need to get, too.
Okay, never mind. I don't know what Luis is up to. But back with Leon, Ingrid tells him that due to inclement weather, their flight's been cancelled and as a result they need to find another way out. So, trudging along, it wouldn't be long before I learned that for some reason Ashley was really noisy. Like, she just made a lot of noise.
Come on.
Hey. Oh.
Like, what is that? What even is that sound? In fact, later I found a mod to stop her from breathing out loud so much because when she's running, she just makes a lot of noise and it gets annoying. Telling her to wait inside of a locker, at first she is appalled that he would even ask.
Stay here.
What? Okay.
But she doesn't realize that Leon is about to engage in something dangerous. So she gets in, Leon heads down, and he sees a handle that he needs. Approaching it, immediately chainsaws stab out of the walls. And what does this man do? Instead of simply just backing up, he kicks off the wall and does a backflip. +7 to aura. 2 chainsaw grannies, good for a band name by the way, come out and Leon has jokes.
Sorry, didn't realize that was yours. I am flattered, but I'm a one-lady type of guy.
After servicing them, he grabs Ashley and they continue on, but somebody else was right behind them.
All right, come on.
Okay.
The giant man, Mendez, tries to take her, but Leon distracts him by stabbing into his arm. However, he does not react. He just looks at Leon before smacking him aside, which, like, if you see a huge dude who doesn't care that you just impaled him, you probably need to run away or find a bigger knife or something, because that's just not going to work. Especially when you see that that guy bends iron in ways that it wasn't meant to be bent.
Come, child.
Mendez speaks about Ashley's soul requiring cleansing, but Leon isn't going to let him take her. Generously applying his full load onto him doesn't work, because Mendez has insane amounts of stamina, or endurance. The point is, he's not meant to die yet, so the two of them need to run. However, the entire time, Ashley just won't shut up. She just yells the entire way, like, that's not going to help. You guys know what I mean, right? Like, you guys ever see those videos where guys are fighting? Not that fighting between guys is okay or anything, or like being violent is good or whatever. I'm not encouraging anything like that. But I've seen some videos where guys will fight and like the girls are on the side just screaming and yelling. Like, that doesn't really do anything. I think, does it do anything? Because nothing ever changes. They still continue to fight, but I don't know. But then the other side kind of makes sense too. Like, as a woman, if your man is fighting, like, what are you, like, just sit there and watch while he beats another man down, or he gets beat off by another man? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what a girl's supposed to do in that situation either. So men, don't put your woman in that situation. Period. Side tangents complete. As they're trying to run somewhere else, now that the bridge is inaccessible, Ashley goes and gets her foot stuck in the floor, through the floor. Which is not really her fault, but you know what I mean? At the same time, like, Leon made it past just fine. I guess maybe he made it weak or something. I don't know, but you know, let's you know, we're trying to survive here, so maybe, you know, I'm trying to lighthearted, get your shit together type thing, you know, maybe we can just get out of here safely, you know? And of course, you know, I'm not mad. I understand it was an accident. You're not doing this on purpose. I love my wife, and you know, as she would say, she's just a girl. Okay, super low pressure, respectfully, just making a slight encouragement to maybe make this easier on Leon. They barely make it to stable ground before the wood behind them collapses. Mendez just glares at them and walks away. However, he wasn't actually leaving.
Cease your pointless struggling. Abandon your body to the will of our God.
You're a shitty missionary. You know that.
Oh, Almighty, grant me the strength to crush your enemies.
Son of a bitch! Ashley, run!
Okay.
Hasta luego.
God, I thank you for your gift.
You want to get ugly? Let's get ugly.
So, I think, while Leon is piecing him up, it would be good to give a little background information about Vitores Mendez, the chief, the big cheese, the chief cheese, if you will. Mendez is the village chief of this region, and before everything fell apart, he also served as the Catholic priest. This means that he was somebody the villagers trusted, and as is usually the case with religious figures, he had moral authority. By the time we meet him, Mendez is already a high-ranking member of Los Iluminados and a host of Las Plagas. You see, unlike the regular villagers, he gets to keep his consciousness, his speech, his ability to command others. He is fully committed, and he can make his own choices to be fully aligned with whatever this cult is doing or whatever the infection represents. And I think the reason that this is the case for him, like why he's different, and this is just a theory for me at this point in time, at this section of the game, in extremely rare cases when the virus or parasite is put into a host that is highly compatible, what you get is a strong symbiotic connection where the host isn't overpowered by the foreign invader. Now again, I'm still looking into this, still learning, we still have more story to go through, but that's my running theory so far. It's the only thing I can currently think of as to why most of the infected we see are mindless, but then there's an individual like Mendez who is fully functioning and superpowered. Another thing I found looking it up online is that in the original 2005 version, Mendez barely speaks. He's got more of this looming executioner, almost mythic presence in how little he explains himself. But here in the remake, It's a shift. He talks more. He frames what is happening as kind of a cleansing, which kind of makes him, seem less like a silent monster and more like a believer in whatever Los Iluminados worships. And as a result, the essence of his threat, of the threat that is Mendez, becomes more ideological based versus physical, which I can appreciate. And the other thing that stands out to me is that nothing suggests that he was forced into this, because the game presents him as somebody who willingly accepted Las Plagas and used his position to stabilize the entire village under its influence, because, he was already the chief of this place. And I think it's interesting because we can sort of see a chain of command forming here, and you'll get what I mean organically as we proceed into the next location. I'm talking individuals with status, but also how right now on the map we are literally located on the outer ring of everything. Now, after defeating Mendez, he calls out to a Lord Sadler before dying. Leon takes his fake eye and Ashley breaks open a window.
Leon, hurry! You're welcome.
Thanks.
Arriving at the castle bridge, when they cross it, the path behind them is cut off. Leon looks on the bright side, saying
At least we don't have to worry about being followed.
Luis pages them, asking if they're still around, and of course, Leon delivers another dry joke saying how he wants to go home, but how Ashley wanted to see this castle first. Luis proceeds to tell them that he's got a medicine that will slow down the progress of the Plaga parasite, so they need to go meet him. But as they make their way through the heavily guarded castle, they'd be met with catapults to give them a warm welcome. So, after taking care of them, Leon finds a cannon and knocks on the castle's front doors. Finally, past the castle walls, we meet Spanish Lord Farquaad.
A most warm welcome to my castle. Such a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance, Mr. Kennedy.
Who the hell are you?
Me? Oh, please, call me Ramon. And allow me to get straight to the point. I would like you to hand the girl there over to me. Now.
Yeah, fat chance, Ramon. The girl's just fine. With me.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy. How novel. Nonetheless, you see, the girl must be ours. With a girl as the very source, your United States, and then the entire world shall overflow with his grace. For that is the iron will of my master, the most holy, Lord Sadler. So then, you will comply. Yes?
Never.
You heard the lady.
How unfortunate. Do make sure our guest feels at home, now that he has chosen death.
Leon?
Just stay close.
So, for those of you who weren't listening to The Short King, Bro says two key things here. Ashley is supposed to be the source to spread the influence of Lord Sadler all over the US of A, and eventually the whole world. This is a bit vague, but I want to see if this gets explained a little bit better later on. However, if it's not, I'll try to remember to elaborate more. There is a part of me that thinks RE4's story could have benefited from explaining why the president's daughter was kidnapped in the first place a lot earlier, because it would show why Leon was even here beyond simply being told to. Turning his enemies into dust, the two begin to puzzle their way through the castle, and soon they'd be in dungeons reading about how the Salazar family for generations had a torturer of generations. Yeah, they had a dedicated family for the purpose of only torturing people, as it was a Salazar predilection. At one point in the dungeon, Leon would approach this wall, and there's this body on the ground. Thinking it's a trap, expecting something to bash through the wall, he takes out the RPG. Big, bad, ugly, and tortured Wolverine looks like he was going to be an issue here, so he has to die. However, while Ashley and Leon are doing more puzzles, I want to talk to you guys about Ramon Salazar for a minute, just to give you guys more context. Ramon is the last of the Salazar family, a noble bloodline that has governed this region for generations. By this region is called Valdelobos. His authority comes from his inheritance as he is the 8th count of his family's castle. Needless to say, he's one of those higher on the cult's chain of command. Apparently, despite the height of a 10-year-old boy and the face of a 76-year-old man, again, I googled this and this is still speculation even on the places that I read it, he's only 20 years old. Crazy. Crazy what blue blood will do to you. Benjamin Button's family has historical ties to this region and its underground secrets. Wink wink, more on that later though. I do want to say that while his ancestors were supposedly loved, Ramon Salazar himself was not, which would be good news for Lord Sadler, who would eventually take advantage of young and lonely Ramon. Sadler gives him purpose, telling him about Los Iluminados, while also buttering up his muffins, which of course, dude eats up. Now, one thing that Sadler taught Ramon was Los Iluminados mythology, and in this he tells him that his whole family is full of sinners, ever since the first counts of the Salazar family sealed away something beneath the castle. In an effort to atone for his ancestors' sins, Ramon orders said sealed thing to be excavated, so obviously Sadler really only needed Salazar under his control to get whatever is down there. However, now the story continues. Fighting off the cult, surrounded by ink reminding me of Bendy, they would come to the castle gardens where Ashley would.
Looks like the right place. You okay?
I think so. Instead of worrying about her, worry about your own skin. Foolish little lamb. Temperance, child.
Ashley. Wait! Shit.
After using Leon's own knife against him, Ashley ran deeper into the castle. Something wasn't right with her. It was as if she was being controlled like a puppet. Confused and concerned, Leon goes after her. That's literally what the Chapter 8 screen says, by the way, guys. That's not my own script. However, yeah, that pretty much sums up what happens. I will point out that the plague inside of them is getting worse, giving more control to who I'm pretty sure by now is Sadler. This also emphasizes how Sadler is able to control everybody using the parasites. So now Leon has to find her and Luis fast in order to save them from turning. Also, there's a certain somebody here who is creating this disturbance in the radio connection between Leon and Oracle. But you'll see who that is later. With no choice but to go forward, Leon opens up into a room to meet his old flame.
You can stop right there, Leon. Wouldn't make me use this, would you?
Well, after 6 years, that is one hell of a greeting, Ada.
You don't seem surprised. Interesting.
Try using knives next time. Better for close encounters.
Not a bad move. Very smooth.
So who are you working for this time?
Oh, Leon. You know I don't work in town. Leave the girl. She's lost no matter what. You walk away now, and who knows? Maybe you'll live to meet me again. And then I might get you that greeting you were looking for.
You think I'm gonna give up that easy?
Right. How about we continue this discussion another time?
Man, 6 years and his heart still throbs for her. So I read on a Reddit post, and someone else commented this same thing on my Resident Evil 2 video, that the reason Leon didn't show up earlier during the Raccoon City incident was that he had spent his days before that getting blackout drunk after getting dumped by his ex-girlfriend. Now his ex-girlfriend apparently looked like Ada. Leon's got a type, if you know what I mean. But if you know this to be fact, or if you have a source, please share it with me so I can officially log in this information into my knowledge base, if it's true. Because I think that adds a certain depth to his character. Dude gets heartbroken, so he gets wasted, and that kind of saves him from Raccoon City altogether. I mean, he ends up going there anyway, but you know what I mean. As Leon moves on, something atrocious. I haven't used atrocious in it's say that 7 times fast. Atrocious. I can't. I haven't used that word in a while. Something fuck, I can't say it now. Something atrocious would happen. A parasitic insect or something crawls up a dude's back and takes control of him. He comes rushing towards us, swinging his axe, but in a black flash, Leon parries it 3 times in a row. Taking the fight to the other room, kicking the bug off the guy, it stands on all 8 legs, and Leon is intrigued by how sickening it looks. He approaches it, and the bug is apparently stunned that it's still alive, wondering why this human is just looking at it. But it remembers its biological imperative and proceeds to jump on Leon, injecting its legs into his shoulders. Giving it the boom boom, it explodes into a liquid mush, and he heads downstairs to find that the merchant is there again. It's amazing. Can this guy teleport? Is he secretly OP? Can he take care of Salazar and Sadler for us? What if we pay him, right? On some Final Fantasy X Yojimbo. I don't know how many of you guys played Final Fantasy X, but there is an Aeon that you can summon. Or I guess there's a guy you can summon and you can pay him and he'll attack and do a lot of damage for you. Climbing upwards on the castle walls, Leon meets another Gigante. But this one watched Lord of the Rings and put armor on. It sends rocks flying towards him, but he fires a rocket back. The abomination loses half its face and falls below, while Leon, who's wearing plot armor, gets back up and goes forth. You might be wondering, what exactly are Los Gigantes? The cult injected the salamander with La Plaga to create Del Lago, but what did the cult do to create these giant monsters? And I'll tell you this part right now. Mysteriously, somehow, Sadler was able to get his hands on BOW research, as well as the materials and funding to run everything that you see here and in another place that we'll be going to soon. With this, Los Iluminados was able to begin experimenting Las Plagas on human subjects and would incidentally create these trolls. Now, moving onwards, we find Ashley.
Stay back. I might hurt you again. I'm so scared. When that happened, I wasn't myself anymore. I was something else.
Oh, she must have been terrifying. I know.
You too?
It's okay to be afraid, you know. But you can't run. You gotta keep moving forward. We will beat this. Together.
I don't know if I can.
You can. Just give me a heads up before you stab me next time, okay?
Leon, thanks.
Together, after solving 3 puzzles and gaining animal heads for a chimera statue, they'd be attacked and Leon would be trapped in a cage that jutted up from the ground.
Run. Now!
He takes care of the enemies that are trying to come in and bring him death, but Ashley is forced to run. With the 2 separated, Ashley's got to find a way to free Leon. This entails her having to sneak past knight armor-wearing Plaga infected.
Good nights, and stay still.
Leaving the living armors and returning to release Leon, she finds a key off a nearby fallen body. She tosses it over to Leon and it luckily goes through the bars and makes it to him, but as he turns to unlock the door, Ashley would scream. A giant, crab-faced, red-hooded, red-eyed monster picks her up and starts to leave. Leon tries to shoot it, but it only growls at him, and he walks on. So what we do now is we see what's going on with Ada. She's here at the castle and she contacts someone on the radio.
So, what's become of the Amber?
Sorry, nothing yet. But my little helper is creating quite the commotion. Everything will work out just fine.
As long as you can keep your dog under control.
He's a good boy. Predictable.
Fine. Keep your mutt. But don't come crying to me if you get bit.
And that is when we see that she calls Leon and tells him that he should go to the throne room to find Ashley. Pushing the doors into said throne room,
Ashley!
Leon, stop! No, don't come any closer!
Are you hurt?
Watch out!
Please, do continue. Do not resist, my dear. It serves only to make your suffering all the worse.
Please, please!
You sick!
Aquí nos despedimos, señor Kennedy.
Hang in there, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
trying to find his way through Salazar's pit of death, he makes his way into this, well, it looks like an old research facility. After taking a liquid shower, Leon looks around and learns about Ramon's personal bodyguards. Those two giant insect, whatever those things are his left and right hands. They are called Los Verdugos, or executioners. These BOWs were created through a combination of insect and human DNA, and they also had Las Plagas injected into them. The red-hooded one used to be Ramon's old butler, and the black-hooded one used to be his old housemaid. The red one was once a Los Iluminados scientist named Isidro Uriarte Talavera. He was a devout believer and follower of Ramon. So much so that he would undergo this excruciating transformation into what he created to be an ascended human, El Verdugo, also known as the U2. However, before him, the housemaiden was the first one to be turned. She volunteered for this and would be named Pesanta, or the U3. The U, by the way, is an ode to his own name, Uriarte. Now, while Leon only fights the red robe, you will see later what the black robe turns into. Also, top of these monsters' heads remind me of Adam Smasher from Cyberpunk 2077. After blowing up the red right hand, Leon teabags him and sends his condolences to his master. However, when he heads up the elevator, his parasite would begin to act up again.
Pitiful little lamb.
Your suffering can end, just as it has for our newest daughter.
Who has joined us in communion,
And now she is of our flesh, of our blood. My faithful disciple will show her the path. Go now. Deliver to these vagrant children their salvation. As you wish.
I'll make it cheap for you.
And that was Jack. But before getting to that, Leon catches up with Luis, who's just given him the medicine, at least stabilizing him for the moment.
Feeling better?
Yeah. Seems like it worked.
Bad news? All we've done is buy you some time. The suppressant's effects will wear off all too soon. You ready to go?
Don't worry about me. Ashley is the priority.
In that case, we know what we have to do. Then come, Sancho Panza! Let us rescue the Princess Dulcinea!
You can hurt yourself.
Hey, that was my lance. Okay, we hurry, I get it.
Alright, Jack Krauser. See, now that you know what happened with his forced retirement, having lost his identity and power over himself, he had sucked out Wesker? Wait, is it seeked out or sucked out? Oh, never mind. He seeked out, we're not going to say he sucked out Wesker. Wesker... Wesker sent Jack here to find and obtain La Plaga, to of course bring back to him. But for some reason, Jack would end up instead serving Los Iluminados, and we're gonna find out why. Pressing on, I actually think I forgot to mention this earlier, but Leon found out that Luis used to be an Umbrella researcher. This was found out after Ingrid did a background check on him, and actually this explains how Sadler had access to Umbrella research. Luis. However, given his past experience, Leon finds it difficult to trust the Umbrella scientist. Of course, Luis reminds him that Umbrella is no more, so he's got nothing to worry about, but Leon's not going to let him slip away and dodge the question. And Luis sounds genuine when he says that he wants to feel good about himself and make amends. It's likely that despite working for Umbrella after seeing the bad he perpetuated, he wants to make up for his evil deeds, and this actually makes sense. Humans often want peace within themselves. To this, Leon stays silent. Later, after going through the mines, he would be impressed that Luis handles himself so well. He replies that he's just your average guy who also happens to be a ladies' man. Kicking a gate down, Leon's about to go, but then he gets yanked by an armored giant. He is getting crushed in the monster's hand, but luckily, Luis quickly reacts, shooting the beast in the head, telling Leon he owes him. Immediately, though, he warns Luis to look out because he's about to become a Luis sandwich. Now both of them are even, and it's a 2v2. The first one was easy, however. Leon just kept pumping himself into it. The second one, though, had Magnum protection, so him dropping his loads into the monster wasn't going to be enough. But Luis had a plan. He runs off and he comes back with some TNT. He hops on the Iron Giant's back, placing it for Leon to shoot, which is enough time for him to drop the beast down below to burn to death in hot magma. Crazy to think that it used to be human. Carrying on, Luis would say that this is where they discovered Las Plagas, which had been preserved this entire time in the ancient deposits of amber. And this makes sense. Sadler had manipulated Salazar into serving him, and his true purpose for this lay in wanting to access the Amber to get to the ancient parasite, which, now that I think about it, I wonder what other ancient parasites are lying dormant within the RE verse. You have the Progenitor, the Veronica, y ahorita las plagas. Hopping into a minecart, ready to ride it like a pony, Luis calls Leon Sancho. And at first, I thought nothing much of it. I thought, oh, he's just calling him Sancho and that's it. But then I remembered, back in the military, people would often make jokes about Jodis and Sanchos. But there's a reason these jokes existed, because they were based in reality. A Sancho was basically the dude messing with your girl while you were away at boot camp or on deployment. However, Leon wasn't him. And so I started thinking, okay, well, it's not that, what could it be? So I Googled it, and what I found actually gives some insight into Luis Serra. Luis was a native of Valdelobos, and in fact, earlier back in Mendez's house, I just remembered that that is where we learned he went to university and would be good enough to become an Umbrella researcher. However, he would later resign. When it comes to Sancho, growing up with his grandfather, at least I'm pretty sure this picture that you see on screen is Luis and his grandfather, there was a book that Luis loved. It was called Don Quixote. Luis makes a reference to this after giving, or in the cutscene that you guys saw, giving Leon the medicine where he talks about saving the princess and Leon takes away his lance. Now he calls Leon Sancho. Luis fancies himself as Don Quixote, Alonso, the steel-driving man from that piece of literature, and Sancho was his squire. By the way, Alonso was completely delusional, and the reason he renamed himself Don Quixote and deluded himself into playing this knight's tale was because, good movie by the way, was because of all the chivalric novels he read. However, deep down, Alonso was a genuine good guy. Like Luis, he wanted to do good. Some more background information on Luis, since I don't know if we're going to see this later. As a kid, he always wanted to be a scientist. After leaving Umbrella, he comes home to his village where it is already under Illuminados' control, and Sadler would come to him as a prophet, recruiting Luis into the cult as a chief researcher in order to study Las Plagas. Now, did you guys know that Luis was actually part of the European branch for Umbrella? He was on the research team that led to the development of the Nemesis parasite, so you can see how a lot of that carried on over here. At first, Luis believed he was conducting research on how to weaken and remove anyone infected with Las Plagas, because the thing is, back when the amber containing the parasites was excavated, all of the workers had inhaled Las Plagas through the dust, which started the outbreak. Now, the real reason Sadler wanted Luis to study the parasite wasn't in fact actually to help people. I'm running out of breath here. Forgot to take a breath. He wanted to figure out what Las Plagas' weakness was in order to cut out that weakness. Sadler wanted to improve the parasite to make Las Plagas without any weakness, and that is what Luis was actually doing, but he didn't know about it at the time. Well, at first, but we'll get to that soon. It is Luis's research that engineered all the BOWs that we've seen up to this point and more. Now, the thing is, Luis would figure out that he was being played, but he didn't stop. This was due to the fact that he was so enamored by everything he was discovering as a researcher, as a scientist, that he couldn't bring himself to stop. However, guilt would eventually haunt him, and this would bring his foolish ambitions to rest. That is when he got into contact with Ada Wong, seeking to depart from this place, where in exchange, he'd give her a Plaga sample. This is why Ada and whomever she works for, Wesker, wants the amber.
Can I get a hand? Give us a 3-2-1 next time, yes, Sancho?
Whatever.
Elle and Elle get on the lift, and Leon, for the third and final time, tells Luis to be straight with him about his motivations.
Phew. I'm beat. Makes you appreciate tech like this.
I don't get you. Why risk your life like this? You don't know us.
I told you. It makes me feel better.
Be straight with me for once.
Los Iluminados. I was working for them.
See? There you go.
Helping the two of you doesn't make up for it. I know that. But still, I don't want anyone else to get hurt.
In that case, you better get serious.
Harsh words for a squire. We're out of that hellhole. The fresh air is calling our names. Por fin. Gus, if we made it all this way, you know it means we're almost...
Almost what?
Luis!
Long time no see, rookie.
Major Krauser? What the hell? Why?
Recovering stolen goods. And killing a few rats along the way. Easy work.
Ashley. It was you.
You catch on quick. Didn't I teach you? Knives are faster. Not good. We are just getting started, rookie.
Are you being controlled by that cult?
This has nothing to do with them. I'm a free man who made a choice.
Speaking as somebody who's seen this more than once in real life, the knife play between Jack and Leon, this is just a little funny here, that is how Marines think they look. Obviously, I'm not talking about combat Marines, I'm talking about Pogues, but I can't tell you how many times I've had to drive Marines to the emergency room because they quote-unquote fell on a kitchen knife. Then I have to hear about it again during our safety stand-down meetings. Jokes though, nothing but respect and camaraderie for my fellow service members, even if you are a crayon eater. During their fight, Leon asks why he's working for the Illuminated, and Jack reminds him about what happened 2 years ago during Operation Javier. And this is where the continuity gets a little bit weird for my understanding. I don't know if it's because the remake retconned some stuff, but we saw what happened in Darkside Chronicles, right? However, here Jack says his whole unit was wiped out during the operation. I didn't see a unit, I saw him and Leon. Maybe I missed something, but he says the government let his unit get killed like dogs, where power was the only thing that reigned in that moment where Jack was powerless to save his unit. He reveals now he wanted power for himself, hence Los Iluminados. Getting ready to parry him like it's Dark Souls, Leon does a backflip and sympathizes with what Jack went through, but that still doesn't give him the right to hurt innocent people. And Jack says he's holding on to fantasies about morality.
Enough play, rookie. You haven't changed a damn bit. What a disappointment.
Not looking good, eh, my friend? And such a loss to the ladies of the world.
Don't talk.
Take this. The key to my laboratory. Go there and remove those damn parasites. Help Ashley. You know, I led a pretty shitty life. But now, eh? What do you think, Leon? People can change, right?
You were a fine knight, Don Quixote.
Damn, just as we were getting into his character, he dies. I don't know how he was in the original, but I did like him here in the remake. So, one thing that I will say is that despite Luis having good intentions, and I do feel like he redeemed himself a little bit, intention doesn't negate action. And I think that's important to remember. Luis did a lot of bad things, right? I mean, think about it. Resident Evil 3, 2, we were reading about other Umbrella researchers who did feel guilty, who knew what was going on rather early on. Luis isn't dumb, right? Even his own grandfather would say that he was a scholar, that he was bigger than the village, that he was gifted mentally. So he had to join Umbrella and find out that, hey, what I'm doing here probably isn't good. I'm working on this Nemesis project. Probably not a good thing, you know what I mean? And then for him to come to Los Iluminados and see the results, the fruits of his labors, eventually he is sorry for it, but again, too little too late. And that's just me trying my best to walk the middle ground. But back to Jack, because I really want to nail down his motivations for taking part in Los Iluminados' schemes. You know what I mean? For kidnapping Ashley in the first place and trying to stop and kill Leon. After working for Wesker for 2 years, remember he sends Jack here to get the amber, but he doesn't come back with it. We find out that Sadler had convinced Jack to stay and serve Los Iluminados. While the specifics about the history of Jack seem conflicted with Darkside Chronicles and here in the remake, where he was apparently Leon's mentor and had his entire unit killed during the OJ incident, one thing remains that we can extrapolate and simplify. It's like I mentioned in the beginning, Jack isn't loyal to anyone, he only wants to get paid, and for a man who really emphasizes that he lost power and wants power, whether it's because of his arm injury from Manuela's mom or his issues with the government or because he couldn't do anything to save his unit, what matters currently is that Jack is on Los Iluminados' payroll. And something tells me they aren't paying him with money. Ada tells Leon that he's going to find Ashley at the clock tower. Entering it, Ramon is there to applaud him for being unyielding. Running past enemies, fighting some, getting squished by a giant metal ball, he ascends to the top of the clock tower to see Ramon with Ashley in custody, and so he chases after them.
And so, I have delivered the girl to you as promised. Do tell our Lord to not forget the loyalty of his servant, Ramon.
Ashley!
Such a fool, Mr. Kennedy. To have been bestowed with Lord Sadler's...
You talk too much.
And yet failed.
You vulgar,
Utterly uncivilized! Mongrel! Allow me to show you the power I've been granted by my master. The power of God! Stage is set for the final act.
out of your crappy script.
Well then, why don't you show me what a first-class script is like? Through your own actions.
Killing a god, he pathetically screams and whines, asking for Lord Sadler to help him. Leon, annoyed with Salazar, even after Bro is dead, pumps more iron into him. Chasing after Ashley, he sees that Jack is taking her away on the boat. Going forth, Leon would read a housekeeper's memo, where we learn one of his servants calls him Pulgarcito, lo siento nasai, Pulgarcito, meaning little thumb in English. Sorry, that's a new word in Spanish for me, so I didn't know that one. I struggled with that word. But yeah, one of his servants calls him a name, and his reaction to this was to pour acid on her face, and as her face melted away, Ramon was smiling the entire time. I guess the whole Salazar line was just a bunch of sadists. I mean, they did have generational torturers. Then the housekeeper mentions how Los Iluminados have turned Ramon into a puppet, even releasing Las Plagas into the world. Onwards, Leon luckily finds a boat, but he doesn't find a key.
Ah, damn it.
Looking for something? You look like you've got something to say.
I have something to ask you. But I don't think I'll get a straight answer. Raccoon City. You know, after the incident, the world changed. You try to save one person, 100 others die. I guess I changed too.
You? Leon S. Kennedy. You haven't changed. You just think you have.
So here's my question. Have you changed, Ada? Or are you just trying to use me again?
What do you think? We're here. Don't think too hard, handsome. See you later.
Story of my life.
Arriving on Los Iluminados' private and heavily fortified, militarized island, the Arclay Knight battles his way through all of them to eventually find Ashley unconscious and tied up in a room.
Ashley! Ashley! Come on, Ashley, wake up! Shit!
Of course, getting into that room isn't going to be easy. Naturally, there is a lot to do, but one thing I want to point out is this new foe that Leon meets.
Fuck!
This is a new word for me in Spanish too, regenerador, regenerator. I don't think it needs a translation, but yeah. This thing is nasty, bro. It's like the souped up whitehead from RE3. It's big, it slithers on the ground if you shoot its legs, and it continues to attack Leon no matter what. It does have weak spots in different parts of its body that you can hit to totally take it down, and you can attach a thermal scope to see where. But I found that, at least for me on the lowest difficulty, that if you keep pumping bullets into it, its regen factor can't keep up. After more standard stuff, Leon unlocks the door to Ashley's confinement to save her.
Ashley. Shit. you're gonna be okay.
Did you guys see how he checked his gun? He's fluid with it. This dude is always finding an excuse to aura farm. Staring off in the distance, I guess he was waiting for Ashley to wake up. When she does, she thanks him for giving her the medicine, but she wonders, where is Luis? Leon delivers the news that he's dead. She quietly looks down, but Leon says they don't have time to just sit around. They have to stop the cult. So offering his hand, she gets up and they stand, determined not to let Luis's sacrifice be in vain. Leon thinks to call up Ada because he thinks that she knows where Luis's lab is. Of course, she does know, and he calls her Ada the Encyclopedia.
Ada the Encyclopedia.
Helping Ashley up and over, she unlocks the door forward and makes a joke that she is pretty much a master of unlocking. I wonder what Jill is doing right now. Making their way forward, the duo come up to a wall, and looking through it, they find a lift. However, there is just one problem. They need to get past this wall. Oh, but luckily there's
A wrecking ball.
I got this.
You're serious? Is this what they teach kids in school these days?
Have you never heard of driver's ed?
most definitely not the same thing, but okay. At one point, she hits Leon with the wrecking ball, but she says sorry, so it's okay. Just girly things, I guess. Breaking the wall, they make it to the lift.
You know, I was thinking, we work well together, don't we?
I guess so.
Right? Maybe someday I'll become an agent like you. What do you think? We could protect the US from any and all threats.
Is that right? Well, either way, first we have to make it out of here.
You're no fun.
No one spoiled anything for me, but it would be cool if Ashley did become an agent like Leon as well. Moving on and reading a note that cautions anybody against disturbing the amber so as to not wake his quote-unquote holy body. I presume they're talking about the parasite inside of the amber. Leon shoots a big piece of amber before inspecting it.
Prostrate yourself. This is our holy body. Our divine providence ensued. Such profound blessing for all. Lost blood. Welcome, my children. I am Osman Sadler, the speaker for our Lord.
Tell someone who gives a shit.
Foolish lambs. Why do you deny grace? Now, abandon your body. Obey. Obey the voice of our Lord.
No! No! Stop! No!
Sweet child, do not resist. Pray forgive these wicked sinners. My faithful disciples shall deliver to you your penance. Now, child, you need not be afraid. Submit your body and release yourself from fear.
How lucky it is for Leon that his gun only had 2 bullets left. What's even crazier is I have infinite ammo on. Prior to pursuing Sadler and Ashley, Leon reads a report nearby to learn that the cult discovered a way to produce a superior species of Las Plagas. This version of Las Plagas is able to take over a host without causing damage to the brain. The researcher writing this, Annabelle, says that she gave the superior plagas to all the high-ranking researchers, but I firmly believe that this is actually how individuals like Mendez and Salazar were able to be hosts for the parasite but still maintain themselves. They had the superior plaga. So there it is. Earlier, originally, I thought it was a higher synchronization thing, but no, it's the type of plaga that they're given. Keeping our Metal Gears solid, we snake forward and Leon would eventually find a picture of his younger rookie self, and written on it was, "I'm waiting." Speaking of Jack, we read his plan on how he kidnapped Ashley. To my understanding, his men disguised themselves as her escort, picking her up from college. Jack mentions that there would be other men in the car pretending to be her presidential guards, I think, but he names some of them. One was named Baker, another named Abel, and a Henry. I wonder if he's feeling quite hungry. The vehicle that Ashley was in makes a random stop under the guise of engine trouble. This is where Ashley is moved to Abel's car, which there, they would change course, subdue, restrain, then detain her in a container. I always get amused when I write these scripts and I rhyme. Actually, reading this now, it sounds like there were some actual Secret Service guys who were there for Ashley, officially, and then Jack just had some of his men in disguise, like they were moles. I don't know if Jack was there himself, though. In the 4th phase of Ashley's kidnapping, Baker creates a distraction. Henry infiltrates and disables the government's networks so that she can't be tracked, after which Ashley would be put on a ship and then sent to Spain. But now, it is time to face Jack once and for all.
I've been waiting for you, rookie. Worried about the girl, is that it? That's just like you. You always had poor judgment. But if you think I'm gonna let you out of here alive, you're even more naive than I thought. You can't save her. You can't save anyone.
Give it up, Krauser. Being a lackey for these maniacs won't bring your men back. And what the hell for? Revenge on the government? You think they would want that?
Revenge. You think I'm doing all this for revenge?
Isn't that what this is all about?
See, in that jungle, I had a revelation. The most important thing in this world is pure, unadulterated power. Those Illuminados have given me that.
You know, you were always an asshole. But at least you had some kind of code. Some honor. And look at you now.
Enough reminiscing. Move out and draw fire, soldier! Better run, rookie!
Not like I have a choice.
Despite parrying and dodging all of his attacks, he calls Leon slow and weak. He's probably projecting his own insecurities onto Leon. After a while of stabbing, kicking, and shooting him, he jumps away and takes his hat off.
Are we done here, Krauser?
I told you. Again and again. You're too soft to do what's necessary. That's the difference between you and me, rookie.
He just reminded me. Prototype's a game I want to cover. Moving on, Leon goads Jack, saying, "So that's your true power? Oh, I'd ask for a refund." My god, dude's got jokes. But yeah, Jack goes on about power this, power that. It honestly gets kind of old and dilutes the interest that I had in his character. At least before, originally there was the loss of identity, causing him to seek out and establish power and control within and for himself, but now he just seems like a grown man crying about power. It's like Wesker said in Umbrella Chronicles, how unoriginal. Leon heads up and he's about to cross this bridge, but it closes up on him. Krauser tries to impale him from behind, but Leon dodges below and says it's time for the teacher to become the student.
Oh, such confidence. Bring it, rookie! Are you ready, rookie?
During their fight, Jack says this one thing that makes me think about the respect they had for one another at one point. He says he thanks Uncle Sam for sending him Leon and not some other normie grunt. Unfortunately, Leon only pities Jack now, seeing him as a powerless, power-starved husk of a man that he used to be. But there is another piece of dialogue that reveals more about Jack's motivations, which I actually find more interesting than his basic thirst for strength. Jack was extremely envious of Leon. Remember, the government sent both Leon and Jack on Operation Javier because they thought their skills were matched. Think about that. Here comes Leon. He's younger, he's new, he stands next to a seasoned major like Krauser. So, during this fight, when Leon's hanging off the edge of the ledge, the platform, Jack says,
Come at me, rookie! Show me what it is you've got that I don't!
Oh, it is very telling. Jack was jealous of Leon and his capabilities, but more so with how the USA threw him to the side once he wasn't able to perform the same as he used to, once Leon stepped into the limelight and proved himself to be more than Jack. That is what sent him to the dark side, and Jack fully embraces the feeling of being Leon's lesser opposite.
That you did, Major. That you did.
With that, Leon leaves Krauser behind, sighing and continuing after Ashley. And he finds her knocked out on an altar. However, when he tries to get to her, Sadler bloodbends him. Unable to move, Leon listens to Sadler tell him that all he wants is to share this gift with everyone. He also says that through Las Plagas, everyone and thing that is infected are connected. It's like a collective consciousness. This is how and why Leon kept seeing sporadic images, visions, or dreamlike messages of Sadler talking to him before. And then he tells Leon he should stop resisting.
Why do you reject serenity when you need only accept the sacred gift? Like she did.
Sadler!
Ah, yes, the time has come for this lamb to join our covenant. Oh, blessings unto him and the sweet mercy they bring. Exalt all, and let it be so.
Leon! Go!
Leon is rapidly losing control over his own body and mind. He tries to fight through the exhaustion and mental degradation. Even though he can't see Sadler, he hears his voice in his head. Fighting past illusions, Leon uses Luis's key to make it into his lab, where he reminds himself of what he said at the beginning, that this time it has to be different.
This time, it has to be different.
You go first.
No way. Like I told you, I'm gonna get you home safe. Here goes nothing. Ashley.
I'm right here. I thought you were gonna die.
Okay. You did this.
Yeah. Yeah, I did this. Can you stand?
The map?
Yeah, I found it. I think it says we can get out if we go this way. Hey, we're a team, right?
Keep this up, I'll be out of a job.
I doubt you'll be out of a job, Leon. Unless they kill you off in Resident Evil 9. Even then, Capcom's gonna be milking you. You'll be playing Leon S. Kennedy until you're 90. Searching around, we find Luis's notes, where he talks about parasite maturity and whether or not the removal of La Plaga is possible. He also details how to remove them from a host's body, but that it's going to be excruciatingly painful, and that there is no anesthesia for this procedure. But then we also find a picture of Luis when he was working at Umbrella Europe, a little nod to Nemesis there. Finding another note, Luis explains that with the Plagas' power, Sadler doesn't even need to create BOWs. He can just take control over everyone. Every country, the whole world would simply serve him. Luis writes that perhaps for the first time in human history, the world would actually know true peace. But Luis and I both know that as imperfect as humans are, living under a hive mind is no real way to live. Well, but then again, there's so much evil living right now in the real world, right at home. Residents of our country perpetuating evil. Now those individuals, they don't deserve to live. Plagas for them might not be a bad idea. I'm just rambling, no real thought here. But Luis decided then and there he wouldn't allow Sadler to succeed. Pressing on, Leon finds something very important on his computer. It's about the amber. Luis logs that at first he didn't think much about the sample. In fact, it was overlooked, collecting dust in a storeroom at first. But then he noticed that it had a peculiar shape. It was upon further analysis that he discovered the amber contains the same organ found in the dominant species. Now, the dominant species of Las Plagas has only ever been seen in Sadler himself, and this is why Sadler is the one who controls everybody else. But Luis marvels how amber would rival or even surpass Sadler's power once it was fully developed. However, before Luis could do any more research on the amber, Sadler took it from him. This also explains why Ada, who's working for Wesker, wants the amber so badly, because there is a terrible and terrifying power inside of it. Making it out of the destroyed cavern, it looks like an intense battle took place. Ashley asks, is Ada okay? But Leon knows she's a main character. She has plot armor. There's no way Ada's going to die. The two make it outside and Ashley points out Ada to Leon. She is unconscious and strung up from the metal structure. Leon runs over and shoots the rope, binding her. And my god, it's crazy how she just lands on her legs without sustaining any injuries. Like, imagine if she landed incorrectly. I mean, like, I know there was a platform right under her, kind of right under her, but even at that height, you know what I mean?
Sadler!
At this point in the story, I realized that it wasn't explained explicitly or well enough. It's kind of vague. Why did Los Iluminados kidnap Ashley? It might be obvious to some, but it might not be obvious to one, and that's okay. That's why I do what I do the way that I do. Ashley is the US president's daughter. By infecting and controlling her with Las Plagas, Sadler would send her back home, where she would then spread the parasite to her father. With the president infected, the parasites could rapidly spread, and with the US government under control, it would be so easy from there to spread Las Plagas to the rest of the nation and then to the rest of the planet, giving Sadler the world domination he wants. Ashley was to be the source. Other thing, the god that everybody in the village was worshipping and making sacrifices to was the parasite itself, Las Plagas. Fantastic. Picking up the special rocket launcher, Leon puts the red warhead on Sadler's ugly forehead.
I'll give you a holy body. Ada, what the hell are you doing?
Nothing personal, Leon. Luis and I had an arrangement. Don't worry, I'll take good care of it. Ride's here. You coming?
I think we both know this is where we go our separate ways.
I see. Better get a move on.
Cute.
Until next time, Leon.
Leon! Where's she going?
Who knows?
I don't understand. Why would she just...
We gotta move. Island's gonna blow.
It's gonna what?
Yeah.
Damn, Ada looked genuinely disappointed that Leon wasn't coming with her. Like, she wanted him to at least, I don't know, be around her. Their attraction is magnetic. I kinda hope they end up together. Only minutes to spare, they're not done yet. Rushing to get off the island before it explodes, passing by the Plaga-infected people, Ashley wonders why they don't attack. Well, without their leader, they're nothing. So they writhe and they will die here. As if they're at an amusement park, getting on the jet ski, Leon asks if she likes thrill rides. Ashley says she loves them. Racing through and out of the caverns, as rocks fall all around them, she screams whenever they go flying into the air.
You alright?
I'm not sure that was insane. Mission accomplished, right?
Mission accomplished. When you're home safe.
Thank you for saving me.
Don't mention it.
You know, I could put in a word with my dad. Have you assigned to my detail, if you're interested.
You don't need me. You proved you could handle yourself. Even if you could use a lesson in knife safety. Come on. Let's go home.
Condor 1? Roost to Condor 1, do you read me? Come in. I said come in. Is this thing even on? Leon! Leon, are you and Ashley all right? Where are you? Come on!
Patch me through. I've obtained the amber.
Excellent.
Just one question. What are you planning to do with this?
I do not pay you to ask questions. All you need to know is a new dawn is breaking. 100 will give their lives so that just one may live. I am expediting that change.
So, we're talking millions of casualties.
Billions.
How ambitious? We're changing course, now.
Damn, Ada's a real one. And if I were the pilot, I would probably do the same thing. I'd be like, say less, I don't get paid enough to die. I do wonder where she's going to take the amber though. Actually, in fact, while Leon was doing his whole thing during RE4, what was Ada doing? So that's what I want to do. I want to take you guys with me to find out just that in the Separate Ways DLC. Picking up back with Luis, who is locked up in a cell, his coping mechanism is dance.
Parece que me toca bailar, hermano.
That's no way to finish a dance. Your favorite, I believe?
Excellent timing, Ada. You know how I feel about being tied up. And yes, many thanks. You see, those annoying monks took everything from me.
Including the amber?
No. Cleverly hidden just before they grabbed me.
Well, then lead the way.
My pleasure.
After Luis decided he was going to stop Sadler, after he contacts Ada, he tries to get the amber, but he gets caught, landing him here. I do wonder if Luis thought that by handing the amber, which again has tremendous potential for more power than Sadler's, to Ada and Wesker, if he thought that he was doing the world a favor. As Luis leads her to where the amber is, he asks her, "What do you even want with it anyways?" And she reveals that at this point in time, she doesn't even know. And so this begs the question, right? If she knew what Wesker was planning to do at the very start, would she have even accepted this mission? But then again, Ada isn't anywhere even within the same realm as Dumb. So at the very least, she had to know what Wesker was planning, or that whatever he was planning was something wicked. Trying to sneak out without getting caught, planning to use the roof to escape, she attaches Luis to the rope first, and he tugs on it.
Arriba y listo.
Touch the ember. We'll meet up later.
No! Sorry, what kind of a man leaves a lady... Then we meet at the church. Let's not make it a funeral, eh?
After defeating the Black Hood, Ada goes outside to give Wesker, a sit rep. My wife and I should get a gray cat and name him Wesker.
Control, come in. Louise hit the amber, but I've sent him to retrieve it. Control, do you copy?
I'm listening. Go on.
We ran into some unexpected trouble.
And? What will you do about it?
Louise is already en route to the church. I'm tracking him every step of the way.
Very well. Then I suggest you hurry.
Copy. Just need to confirm my route first. Heading out to get a visual of the area.
Wait, what technology does she have that she can see all that from her eyes? After Ada departs, she sort of talks to herself a bit. Through this monologue, we learn that she is aware of what the Amber is to some extent and what evil it will bring. She knows that there will be a dark cost to giving Wesker the Amber, but she tries to stick to what she knows in her line of work, that it is best not to ask who pays the cost and why her employers want certain things. However, the mere fact that she's even having this conversation with herself shows that Ada does have a conscience. She's not inherently evil, she's just been trying to remain as pragmatic as possible for her job. But what I really appreciate about hearing Ada talk is that she admits that that night 6 years ago with Leon changed things for her. It influenced her in ways that she can't really put into words herself, but I can. I can explain it. The truth is, Ada was actually infected back in Raccoon City. Yeah, she got bit. Bit by the love bug named Leon. You can cringe now. I'm half joking, but more so telling the truth. Sometimes you meet this one person and suddenly everything changes. Pragmatism, what you know you should do, goes right out the window when you're in love. But right now, after flying around with a grappling hook, Ada tells Wesker that she is looking for Luis. Now, Wesker, who has been monitoring everything in the region, says that Los Iluminados' activity has been increasing as of late. This is due to the fact that at this time, Leon has arrived, and he's been making moves. Taking advantage of the fact that Leon's being a good boy and keeping them busy, Ada presses on. Reading a villager's diary, she learns that the villagers respond to the church bell as they see it as some sort of Lord's calling. And this is relevant because soon she arrives at the church where Luis said he would meet her.
Stood up again. Sounds like he could use a little help.
La campana.
Of course, we know that Luis was caught by Mendez, which is why he couldn't convene with Ada. So she starts heading to Mendez's house to look there. But first, we meet the merchant.
Don't worry, Leon. First time's free. Don't keep me waiting, Luis.
Hey, stranger. So what are you buying?
You've picked quite the place to set up shop, stranger.
Aye, and look what it brought me.
And look what it brought me. Another customer. Merchant is an interesting character. Entering the room, she reads a note where this person talks about how the Pesanta had hit them with something and how she's been having these symptoms. She is infected. And earlier, when Ada fought the Black Robe, she too was hit by Pesanta. So it stands to reason that Ada is infected now too. She's hallucinating. The infection is inside of her and it seems to exacerbate when the Black Robe is close. But the fight is light work for Ada. She comes in close to cut her up. However, right before she's about to deliver a shot, her body fails her. She misses, and a ringing in her head disorients her, enabling Pesanta to leave. Ada's unable to do anything except watch and expect that there's going to be another showdown. Picking up her iron, she looks at it and wonders what is wrong with her, and yet there is not a moment to waste. So she runs over to Mendez's manor. Upon arriving, she hears gunshots and gets in closer to investigate. Mendez has Leon by the throat. Ada shoots his hat off before flying onto the roof. She stays up there longer, watching Mendez leave before letting her breath leave her chest. Soon she sees Leon running off into the sunset. His night is just beginning. Ada sends her wishes with him as she slips through the window to find a lead on Luis. Looking at a portrait of Sadler, she shoots it before reading a note in the drawer. Luis is in the factory basement, so she proceeds to exit. Multiple shotgun blasts to the sky and he still punches through, sending her backwards. She gets up and casually says, "Well, this isn't working." So she runs. She runs and runs and runs all the way to the factory basement to find that Luis isn't there. Leon has already set him free. However, she does find his cigarette box with a radio frequency written on it, which she uses to then contact him. Luis tells her to meet him at a house, but when she leaves the factory,
Having a bad day?
Wesker, to what do I owe this pleasure?
Stop wasting my time, Ada. Find Lewis. Fetch me the amber.
I should probably thank you for this room. Are you staying? To back me up?
I'm not here to babysit you. See that you remain an asset and not a liability. I have absolutely no use for your incompetence.
Easy with the threats, Wesker.
Just get it done. I'll be in touch.
I like how she doesn't let Wesker get away with talking down to her so much. But I don't get him. He comes to the island super fast, spends time to save her and bring her to Mendez's room. Why doesn't Wesker just do everything himself? We know he's capable, so wouldn't it be faster if he just did things himself? Do you guys think he could single-handedly take on Los Iluminados? Arriving at the house, which at this time is a slaughterhouse, with Los Ganados all trying to murder them, Ada was about to go in and help. Until the ground starts to tremble. The bridge starts to shake. Something gigantic was coming. Restabilizing her footing, she goes to check out what that is.
Big guy, can't let you go that way.
Man, she has Devil May Cry aura. She takes on the giants of Mordor, using her grappling hook to swing around and slice the Titan at its weak point near the back of its neck. It roars and dies. Walking up to the writhing and wriggling whatever the hell this thing is, she puts her boot on it and tells it to stay down before shooting it 3 times. Ada then casually walks away, telling it sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
And this is where we pick up after Luis tells Ashley and Leon that they're all infected. She waits for Luis to catch up to her, and he says that he's going to give her the amber now. So she helps him up and they end up at the castle. Luis struggles to climb while Ada just bat grapples up there. When Luis finally makes it up, he can tell that Ada is angry, and yet he braves, saying that before he gets the amber, there's something else he needs to do. And when he says that, she darts her eyes at him. She gives him the woman's signature nuclear look.
This is not a negotiation, Louis, so choose your next words carefully.
Whoa. Listen, there is someone who needs my help. You know me, always the good Samaritan.
Let me guess. Leon?
Yes, exactly. Leon and that young woman, they're both infected. They need this medicine. It slows the infection, and I know it works. I used it on myself. So,
why does this matter to me?
Because you two are infected. It's what I researched for all these years, Ada, and I see the symptoms already showing in your eyes. You must already feel the effects, eh? The medicine will stop them for a time. Just trust me. You have a lot to gain and nothing to lose.
Okay, but this is your last chance. We do this first, and then the amber.
I'll let Leon know. Hola, Luis here. You guys still around?
Well, I wanted to go home, but Ashley just had to see this castle first.
Perfect, because I have a present I want to give you. Medicine that will help to suppress the progress of your problem.
Where do we go?
Let's see. Come to the courtyard inside of the castle. We can meet up there. Ciao.
Proceeding downstairs, Luis says that the medicine and everything he needs is in his secret lab. However, when they get down there, it's already been found by Los Iluminados, and it's burning. It tears at Luis, the prospect of the medicine being destroyed, and without thinking, he runs in, trying to save it. Ada attempts to hold him back, but he goes in anyways, and Ada has to run in after him. When she finds him, he's choking to death, so she saves him from the flames, carrying and then throwing him on the floor, chastising the desperate man for choosing to die before he delivers the amber to her. But Luis is simply destroyed. The medicine is all gone.
Burnt to nothing.
Why is this so important to you?
There are things I must set right. But that is impossible now. It's all over, and I can't help them anymore.
Pull yourself together, Luis. Make more. You know how, just do it.
Yes, it is possible. The ingredients are all here, in the castle. Yes, I need time, but I can still get you your amber.
All right then, let's go.
So, while Luis writes down what ingredients Ada needs to procure, He says that he's going to grab the amber. Along the way, Ada finds a raccoon and kind of laughs at it. Later, while she grabs the red ink, she hears somebody approaching the door. She's about to flee out the window, but something stops her. Leon walks in, and of course, Ada has to put on the Catwoman costume. The two do their little dance, and I think when she tells Leon to just leave at this point, to leave the girl and get out of here, I think she's telling him that because she cares about Leon's safety. Probably just my own headcanon. But they opt to talk later. Just as quick and silent as the real Catwoman, she is out the window and back in her normal clothes. Doing another puzzle, she gets trapped and tries to parry the drill, only for her to end up getting drilled. Oh god, her scream. I never want to get drilled. Finally obtaining all the ingredients, she meets up with Luis, who hands her the amber, except Ada can't pick it up, because as soon as she touches it, the amber activates the parasite inside of her, causing black veins to immediately pop up on her skin, and Luis recognizes this issue. So he puts his kit down and starts concocting the suppressant. He says that it will knock the parasite out temporarily. Luis injects it into her, but it's taking a minute. Unfortunately though, they don't have a minute, because right now, the Verduga is here for her. Luis knows that he has to help Ada, so they start running together, but Luis wonders why the suppressant isn't working yet as it should have. Ada shoves him away and says he needs to take the amber and leave for now. Luis doth protest, as he doesn't want to leave her to fight you three alone, but she insists, reminding him that he still has another promise to keep.
It's working.
Ada does manage to juke Basanta, but after following Luis's clues, which takes her down into the mines, the Hound would find her again. Ada knows that she can't keep running from it. In fact, it comes crashing down from above and begins chasing, but Ada knows she can't fight her here, so she looks for a more suitable fighting stage.
This spot will do. Type. Time to end this for good.
After fighting, Ada believes that she's taken down the Chimera. However, it reawakens, picking her up and throwing her below, leading them into round 2. And this time, Ada finishes the job. She fires her hook, coming in, stabbing Basanta, and it tries to get free of her, but Ada only gets off when she feels like it, tearing away at it as well. Pulling out her crossbow, she fires an explosive, putting the monster down for good. Nice. After expelling that little bastard, Luis contacts her to say that Jack took the amber and Leon's fighting him now. He apologizes to her, but also thanks her for giving him the chance to do good again. The last thing that Ada hears from Luis is him calling out to Leon and firing a bullet. By the time Ada arrives at the scene, she sees Jack leaving and doesn't have time to say goodbye to Luis. She pursues Jack, but also realizes what's happening with Ashley, so she stops to call Leon and notify him. Continuing on, she sees Jack running away and wonders how he's getting around so quickly. In fact, she doesn't get to him fast enough. By the time she does catch up, she sees him carrying the president's daughter away and Salazar talking to Leon. Ada calls Leon a good boy for keeping him distracted, and she continues to pursue Jack and the amber. She just misses Jack leaving on the boat. Looking around, she finds keys to this boat, but then she hears Leon approaching.
Leon.
Ah, damn it.
Looking for something?
As we know, they ride to the island together, but what we didn't know was that before Ada left, she managed to attach a tracker onto Leon's jacket. Silent scoping from a distance, she sees Jack give Osmond the amber, but that is when somebody pulls a gun on her.
Mine or Sadler's?
That all depends on you. Change of plans. Of course, you're free to refuse.
Think that gun's gonna be enough?
Interesting.
Okay. I'll do it. But cost you extra.
Wise decision. I'll send you the new coordinates. And remember, I do not like
Waiting, I know.
I am kind of curious to know and see if Ada could take Wesker on in a fight. She seems like really confident, enough to be like, you think that gun's gonna be enough? Like, do you not know who this man is? He's got super strength, speed, he's a genius. Pushing on, she finds Leon and Ashley and decides to watch them from above. You know what I mean? Like, imagine having Ada as your girlfriend or wife. A super spy. She would know and see everything. Make an honest man out of you, if you're not already honest. Moving on with Wesker's new job, going into a comms center, she reads about something called Martinico and realizes that this is not actually a comms center. Or at least, there's more to it. Martinico used to be this small and detested creature who was cast aside for being deformed. However, after many experiments, it evolved into a true monster of a weapon which could only be killed with lasers. I haven't seen Austin Powers in a long time. Jumping down into a dark and dusty corridor, Marty himself would come around from the corner. Ada would try to see if she could kill him here, but no, the note was right, only lasers. Escaping him temporarily, we read about Los Iluminados and how they convinced Jack to work for them by giving him the superior plaga. However, knowing how power-hungry Jack was, they also decided to make him the first test subject for the amber. Yes, they gave Jack the amber to enhance his abilities even further. And this particular detail is important, and you're going to see why when we get to the post-credit scene. Ada continues to dodge a bunch of lasers and make it to the control room. Here she would jack in Wesker's laptop, and that is when she realizes that Wesker was going to blow up the entire island. Ada inquires, but he only says that the weak exist to serve the strong. He tells her to hurry up and bring him the amber, saying that he's arranged a way for her to get back to the island, which makes me wonder, what island is Wesker talking about? No spoilers, by the way. These are just thoughts that I have at this point in time in the series. I'm sure that when I get to the next few games, I'll find out what island they're talking about. Up until now, I still don't know who the rival company that Wesker is working for is. However, continuing on, Ada pulls out a thumb drive and starts copying files from Wesker's laptop. Do you guys still use thumb drives? Is that still a thing? I haven't seen those things in a long time. She copies files from Wesker's laptop, saying that Wesker should know that she doesn't always play by his rules. After completing that, she tries to leave, but Marty wouldn't let her. Oh, I misunderstood what you said when you said through this. However, actually making it through, evading Marty, who gets diced up all the way,
Always have an out.
Ada makes it outside, where she could hear Ashley and Sadler on the radio. Tracking them down, Ada gets there just in time to save Leon again, just like she's been doing since Raccoon City. It's actually insane how much value she's bringing to the team, and it is all unseen. With Leon and Ashley safely away, Ada jumps down to come face Sadler. He turns his attention to her, transforming a bit, calling her a wayward lamb who serves the heretic wolf. I'm pretty sure he knows that Ada works for Wesker, because Heretic Wolf seems like a fitting title for him. Sadler says that Ada needs to be punished and taught to walk the path of righteousness, but she just stabs him in the mouth.
Trial and tribulation. And taught to walk the path of righteousness. Now, the glory of life.
Control, come in. I have the package. This is gonna be hard to explain at customs.
Well done, Ada. Evacuate immediately.
Understood.
Someone is coming to pick you up.
I trust everything is fine on your end, too, Leon.
So this shows how she was captured and how that place got messed up. Apparently Ada is strong enough to kick a pillar down. I guess maybe she could fight Wesker. I mean, she did take on and defeat a tyrant back in Raccoon City during the Umbrella Chronicles, so, you know. The boss fight between the three of them kick off, with Ada going to grab the red-tipped warhead. But before bringing it to Leon, she stops to read that Jack was the one who ordered these armor-piercing RPGs, and he ordered them from Newman Arms Corporation, and I wonder if we're going to see that name later on. Up the lift, Ada sees Ashley standing there, watching the fight from a distance, not helping at all. But she turns and tells Ada to go help him. Curious to see what would happen if I let the timer run out, I discover that this does nothing. You just die. But pressing on, she finally gets into position, and just like in Resident Evil 2, she tosses the RPG to Leon. All things proceed as you've already seen, but what we didn't see was the ship that was in the water behind her helicopter, and that Wesker, who is on that ship, almost learned right away that Ada betrayed him.
Control, you're flying off course, report. This is Control, you're flying off course, report. This is Control, you're flying off course, report. The pilot isn't responding.
Sir, the explosions failed to detonate simultaneously. Calculated destruction is well below 50% of the estimates. Most of the island remains intact.
Oh, Ada. What to do with you?
The choppers is still within range, sir. Should we open fire?
No. Her little act of defiance changes nothing. Besides, we have all we need. We continue. As planned. Soon, the sun will set on the age of man.
Also, where's Chris?